Welcome to our class. This is a Hatha Plus class, so it will flow in some parts. We will practice a few techniques such as breathing, as well as mindfulness practice, and of course some asana. So what we might need today is a block. You don't have a block at home, just grab a more sturdy cushion or something else that you might feel is appropriate for you to use. And can you just give me a brief sign if you can hear me? Yes, okay. In that case, if you can't hear me, there has been a change in Zoom that I noticed the other day when using a different device, where on the lower part of the screen you can access the audio button again, as mine popped out in that instance, and that might be the issue if you can't hear me. So if you don't have a block, sturdy cushion or something like that might be nice to have. And then we will begin our practice lying down. So if you want other things to keep you warm, such as, your socks still on, your jumper still on, or whatever else you might require for your practice, then please feel free to get yourself very, very comfortable. So once you're feeling comfortable, allowing a few deeper breaths and then releasing the breath with a sigh. So you've got a chance of actually arriving within the space, your personal space, in which you can feel very safe and supported. And my focus for this practice will be a more grounding one to build up a bit of trust that things will be okay. Maybe when we hit circumstances that are, again, out of our control, we're feeling a little bit insecure, challenged, anxious. So it's a nice idea to just allow these feelings to come up in a safer environment, such as your mat, your own space. To take note that we're feeling certain feelings, that we do have thoughts arising any day, any time. And that what comes from that is happening in the mind. So using this practice as acknowledging our mind, and that there's more that we can do than just engaging with these thoughts. Allowing yourself to let the breath move down into the abdomen. As when you're breathing in, the diaphragm pushes down and your belly is rising. And when you're breathing out, diaphragm is lifting up, belly is falling. So I welcome you to practice deep, full breathing down into the abdomen. If any of you prefer full yogic breathing or even Ujjayi technique on top, please feel free to go ahead with that. Belly ribs to collarbones, this breath would go. And other than that, allowing yourself to breathe into your belly. Finding an even pace for the in and the out breath. I'll begin by reading a poem from Donna Folds. which some of you might be very familiar with. It is called the fruits of practice. Despite fervent pleas for ease and safety, there are many days when reality doesn't quite line up with what I'd choose. Breakdown, letting go, surrendering even the illusion of control, breathing into the unknown. Sometimes that is what life holds. Practice hasn't brought an end to pain. I still increase my suffering like a fish caught on a line. My struggles only draw the hook in deeper. But being in reality is its own reward. It's the perfect paradox. The courage to stand and breathe when everything in me wants to flee is as great a gift as the freedom to seek retreat. No, practice hasn't brought an end to pain, but it has honed my willingness to experience the moment and sometimes see perfection unfolding in ways I wasn't big enough to plan, much less predict. Practice isn't about achieving a goal. It's not a means to pole vault over suffering. Practice is my way of looking life in the face and saying yes to all its disparate gifts. Practice keeps me awake when I would sleep and reminds me it's the journey unfolding in this very moment. It's the journey that reveals the truth and not the destination. While this applies to your practice on the mat, so does it apply to the practice in daily living? But let's take it one step at a time and practice on the mat first. I'm asking you now, while you're lying there on your back, to step your feet down onto the ground, to touch the inside of the feet and that of the knees together. To take your fingertips behind your head and let the elbows fall out toward the side. As you breathe out, roll to the edge of just the right foot and let your knees move over to the right. And while you're inhaling, landing feet back on the ground, knees to center, and then roll to the outer edge of your left foot as you bring your knees to the left on the out breath. And that's all I'm asking you to do for now, keeping your legs glued together and just rolling over the edges of the feet. On the out breath, the knees go to one side. On the in breath, you bring them back into the center. So my aim here is a back release to begin with, allowing us a little bit more freedom of movement, yet a quite grounding practice. When you next take your knees toward the right, let's pause them there. If you're feeling that knees don't quite touch the ground or need some support, use your block-like item and pop that underneath. Taking a deep breath in and out now. If you prefer to sigh on the out breath, that might also be a good idea. Then guide your knees to center. Bring them over to the left, and the same here applies. If you would like some support, why not pop a block underneath? Taking that deep breath in, maybe a sigh out, or just a long breath out of the nose. As you bring your knees back to center, lift the feet now off the ground. Move your knees over your hips, bring them to about 90-degree bend, flexing through the ankle joints. And with that 90 degrees, you might just about see your toes behind your knees. Let's squeeze the knees together and continue our movement. On the out breath, move them to the right. On the in breath, center them. On the exhale, move them to the left. This is not a competition, so it doesn't matter how far your knees are going. We've moved up from the lower back release to the mid back release. So the angle of the knees is important as you're moving them from side to side, maybe in the middle, correcting yourself if the feet have sunk a bit. This movement might feel a fair bit stronger than the previous one. And again, I will invite you to hold the next time you come to the right-hand side. This might be floating in the air. You could again use a support underneath the knees, and maybe now opening the arms out to help you ground the upper body and the shoulders down. Taking a deep full inhale and exhale slowly or a long sigh. You will then bring your knees back to center. Check again how the knees are bent, correcting if necessary, and taking yourself over toward the left. And the same here, please support if you like to use the support underneath the legs, or just hold it floating in the air, aiming to keep shoulders grounded. Take a deep breath in and out. Then bring your knees back into center. This time, bring your knees closer to your chest and let your feet fall down towards your buttocks. Again, we're keeping the knees squeezed tightly. We're placing fingertips back down behind the head. And now as you're breathing out, tuck your knees up to the right shoulder. On the inhale, kind of swing them across, and on the exhale, tuck them up to the left shoulder. So now there's a bit of core activation happening as you're drawing your knees up toward the shoulder, using the out breath to do so. So there's a little bit less control, and yet there's more activation. Don't let the knees drift apart as we want to reach our upper back in this movement. Next time you come into the right, hold here. Keep the knees tucked in towards the shoulder. Arms can open out to ground you down into the mat. Take a deep breath in and out, as much as that's possible in this shape. And then swing your knees over toward the left. Still keep the knees tucked together and reach them up towards the shoulder, keeping both shoulders on the ground. Arms might be extended, and a deep breath here, as deep as is possible while being so engaged. And then center again. Give the knees a good hug and a squeeze, and you can open the knees now. You can start to move through the feet. We might even take one hand to each kneecap and just circle the knees away from each other, creating a bit of space between your legs again, releasing further through the back and changing direction of those circles. So if you are just like myself wearing some socks, you might want to take those off so you can feel a little bit more grounded on your mat. As we step the feet down hip distance for a bridge movement, your toes will be pointing forward, feet and knees are hip distance apart, and the arms are along the side of the body. Now we'll go straight into a movement from here. So while you breathe in, tilt your pelvis, squeeze the buttocks, and lift your hips up into a bridge. And when you're breathing out, rolling back down onto the floor. So for these movements, I invite you to really deeply engage the core, tilting, squeezing, lifting, and then also keeping that control as you're rolling down, finding a way to keep your body aligned. Now on top of that, as you inhale to tilt, start to lift your arms as well, reaching them over the head onto the ground. And then as you're breathing out, roll the spine down and release your arms down by the sides. Keep going like this, finding your own pace as you breathe in, lifting, arms extending. And exhaling as you're rolling down, arms releasing down by the sides. Keep that flowing, breath in and out. A few more here. Next time you've got your arms extended and your hips in the air, just hold for a moment. Feel the feet completely grounded to the floor. Draw your tailbone up toward the back of the knees. And then hold yourself up there, but slowly lift the arms up, pointing fingers to the ceiling, letting shoulders relax down to the floor. And then releasing your arms down by the sides. Grab your block or cushioning and slide that underneath, maybe the sacrum. You could be halfway up here at a maximum, but maybe block is flat as well. So finding your variation. As you rest the sacrum down for a supported bridge, we're taking the weight out of the legs and out of the shoulders, of course, as well. Now, do you feel into that position? If it's kind of still pulling on your back, you've got lower back issues, I recommend to have the block down low and maybe slide it a little bit down towards the feet so the tailbone falls off the block and you're kind of feeling that there is an extension possible, but also as if you're sliding off the block. No obligation to go this way, you choose, but then there's an option now of extending your legs out long, which I invite you to do, so that we keep the spine relaxed, and on top of that, bring an extension out here through the hip flexors. Time to relax the arms as well, and take a few deep breaths in and out. Deeply lengthening over the front of your body. Letting the breath move back down into the abdomen and maybe even slightly engaging the abdomen now as you're breathing out. One more deep full breath while resting here. From where I will ask you to step your feet back down at that hip distance. To squeeze the buttocks, tilt the pelvis as much as possible, lifting your hips back up to your bridge, removing the support from underneath you, and then controlling the rolling down of the spine back onto the mat. I'll ask you to lift your feet off the floor now, to cross your ankles, to keep your knees wide open as they are, and to bring your fingertips back behind the head. If this is too strong, do a little bit less in moving your feet forward, but while you're inhaling now, tapping your toes down onto the ground. And as you're exhaling, swing knees up to shoulders. Inhaling, tap, exhaling, swing. And just keep that going in your own pace. I will do the counting for us. Just 3 more. Pausing, changing just the cross of the ankle, nothing more. If you need a rest, you will take a rest. Otherwise, knees stay wide and continue here. Tap, exhale, swinging up. Keeping your knees wide, reaching them up toward your shoulders. Maybe you're starting to feel a little bit of fire igniting in the belly. 3 more if that's for you. Then give your knees a hug, a squeeze, and rock the body gently from side to side. You have the choice now of rocking the body forward and backward to come up into a seated shape. If you feel that is appropriate for you, otherwise you can roll over to your side and then sit up. You can choose here again whether you want to use a block to sit on for a brief breathing practice, or if you feel that sitting on your heels might be an option. We will practice, excuse me, a few rounds of Kapalabhati. This technique is fairly intense. So if you feel during the practice it makes you feel a bit dizzy or awkward, just stop and breathe back down into your belly. If you feel the technique is better on the slower end, keep it slow, otherwise you might speed it up. So if you're familiar with it, you can simply begin. Otherwise, you might choose to place your hand onto your lower abdomen. As we breathe out of the nose very quickly, it's like a sniff out. At the same time, we're pulling the lower abdomen in. Now, I usually start this practice with a full inhale and an exhale and then begin the sniffing out. And I also repeat that if I get lost at some stage where it feels more like a hyperventilation. I just reset myself, inhale deeply, exhale fully, and then starting again. Now you could have it as slow as this, but you could also go as fast as possible. So up to you. If you haven't started yet, let's breathe in and out. Then beginning. You do this in your own pace. eyes might be closed. Then let's pause, deep breath in, let the belly expand again. Slow, long out breath, and then just simply pause for a moment and acknowledge how you're feeling. Allowing yourself to be present with what arises. Be that just a simple sensation. I'll ask you from there to blink the eyes open and make your way up into a standing shape. Now, I will also ask you to have your mat today, like mine is, squared off toward the screen so we can move easily together. We will begin this practice in mountain shape. Now, when we come into mountain, I'm inviting you also to come into Pala Mudra, which is said to work well with the state of anxiousness, but also it instills a deeper sense of trust. So to get there, placing your left hand down in front of the lower abdomen, the hand a little bit like a bowl shape with the palm facing upward. We make the same bowl shape with the right hand, and we let that come to face down onto the left hand. These hands aren't touching, but kind of creating an energy field between the palms of the hands. Leaving the hands cupped like this is a symbol for a bowl, really, and that of a representation of the monks when they go and ask for food or whatever they get given, not to get attached to what we have or to get attached to any particular outcome. Allowing the arms to be reasonably relaxed within this shape as you stand down on both of your feet, either touching or about hip distance apart. Ground down through the feet, activate your legs. Make sure your pelvis comes into kind of a neutral shape where there's a subtle lift of the pubic bone to keep the bowl of the pelvis in balance. Eyes might be closed again, and starting to just feel into the energy that lies within your hands. As you're feeling into the hands, the mudra, Pala Mudra. Maybe as you feel into the space that lies between your hands, you notice some kind of energy between them. Maybe there's also a sense that within there is a space in which you're feeling completely safe. We will start movement from here. I won't mirror this practice. So keeping in mind that I will start and move with the same side that you will. As you're inhaling, take your right hand, the top one, and reach it up, opening into the palm and looking up to the right hand fingers. And as you're exhaling, bring the right hand back into the mudra. On the inhale, reach the left hand up. Look up into the palm, up to your fingertips. And then make the hand like a bowl again and bring it back into the mudra. We'll do that again to each side. Inhaling as you're reaching up. Try and find some length coming through the arm, maybe down to the opposite hip. And as you're exhaling, bring the hand back to Pala Mudra. On the inhale, do the same with the left. Find a big reach through the side and into the arm. As you exhale, bringing that back in. Now, as you inhale and stretch, also lifting your left heel up, finding maybe more length through the body. As you're exhaling, back into the mudra. Now, left arm, right heel, breathing in. On the exhale, come back into the mudra. Let us now tap the left toes away as you're reaching up into the side. Then land the foot again and return to the mudra. Inhaling, left hand is extending, right big toe taps away to the ground. Exhaling, bring your hands back into center. Let's do that again. Inhaling, tap down with the left toes, reach into the right hand fingers. Land the foot again, back to the mudra. Again with the left arm, right big toe tapping away. And on the exhale, land again in the mudra, leaving shoulders relaxed. Maybe noticing the changes in the physical body as you pause, realign yourself back into that steady mountain. On your next inhale, release the whole mudra. Reach the arms out and up, but just into the diagonals today. And when you're next exhaling, bend your body to the right. Inhaling, come to center. Exhaling, bending your body to the left. Inhaling, come to center. Knees are softening. And we're bringing hands back into Pala Mudra. Take full deep breath in and out here. We'll then inhale again, reaching the arms out and up. On the exhale now, bending to your left. And the hip might start going out the right, if that's right for you. On the inhale, come to center. And then go across to the left. Breath in, come to center. And once more, reaching into Pala Mudra, your mountain shape. We'll extend this a little bit further yet still. So while you're taking a breath in, reach the arms out as if they were branches. Then lean across to the right, tapping your left big toe down. And if that feels good, lift the toe off the ground and find a star shape. From your star, bring your left foot in and you can place it down here against the leg, or you can help the foot up and place it into the inner thigh. Finding your branches again. Take a breath in, reach the arms up as if you were to touch the sun. And as you're breathing out, bring that back down, right into Pala Mudra. When you're next taking a breath in, let's step the left foot out and find a warrior two. Grounding yourself down into this warrior shape. As you then inhale, exalt the warrior. And you might want to look up toward the top hand fingertips. And then from here, take the top hand, swing it all the way forward and down, and then back toward the other foot. Here's an extra option for you. You can lift the sole of the left foot off the floor and just resting on the heel, and maybe even extending your right arm up. We will change direction now. Land the left foot. Bring hands down either side of your right foot. Lift your back heel and lengthen your spine just into a lunge. Then bring your left knee down to the mat. And while your hands are sliding back, lifting the sole of the right foot, leaning the hips back without sitting down, and lowering your nose towards the knee for half Hanuman. In this shape, move forward through the ball of the foot, and your toes will move back towards the knee. Allowing just a couple more breaths to deepen. Then land your right foot back down. Move your hands to either side of the right foot. Tuck the back toes under. Lift the knee. And now step your left foot a little bit in and out. So we're in a pyramid shape. You can lower your nose down toward the knee. If your arms are too short to touch the floor, you might want to touch your shin or your thigh instead. And just lowering your nose down. Trying to find a bit of balance in the pelvis, the way you're standing. Now turn your left heel in or your left toes outwards. Let both hands be on the inside of the right foot. And unfold into triangle. As you take a breath in, the left arm will extend upwards. If that's too much for the shoulder, you can always just roll the left shoulder back and place the hand into your lower back or side of the waist. Gaze up is just optional, as well as you could look down or forward instead. Now let's bring a bend into the right knee. Take a breath in, lifting both arms up, turn your toes outwards. And then sink that down using Pala Mudra as you bend your knees, resting that back down in front of your tummy, keeping the knees in line with your toes, letting shoulders relax. We will take a breath in to reach the arms up while we're wiggling our feet together. And then taking hands back down into Pala Mudra. Returning to our mountain shape. On the next inhale, let's reach the arms just out and back into the open. And as you're exhaling, bending a little bit to the left, maybe tapping the right big toe down onto the floor. Maybe lifting the foot up for a star. Taking your right foot from there into a tree shape, whether the foot is below or above the knee is up to you. Taking your arms back into the branches. And then as you inhale, reach the hands up. And bring them back down into Pala Mudra. So nothing changes in this mudra. Left hand is still low, right hand on top. Let us open up and step this out for Warrior 2. Finding your stance. As you turn the palms around, extend this up into an exalted or extended warrior. Gaze could be up or out to the side or even down if you choose. And then we're reaching forward with the top arm and swing that right down to the opposite foot. And there's the option here of lifting the sole of the right foot off the ground, just staying on the heel, and even an option to lift the left arm. So you release your hands down. Turn around, left toes forward, right heel lifting, lengthening through the spine for a runner's lunge. Then place the right knee down onto the floor, untuck the toes. While you might lift the sole of your left foot, let your hands slide back a little bit. And then start leaning your nose down towards the knee. Pushing out through the ball of the foot there, and then naturally your toes are wanting to move backwards. Hold here for a few breaths. Maybe your nose gets a bit closer down toward the knee. Then landing your left foot back down, moving your hands back either side of it. Tuck the right toes under, lift your knee, and then step the right foot a little bit in and out to the side. Arms are short, place them somewhere against your leg. Otherwise, fold your nose back down toward the knee. There's a little bit more activity in this position as we're trying to balance out our pelvis, finding a strong stance in between the 2 feet. Now turn your right heel in, your right toes out. Place both hands to the inside of your left foot and unfold this into triangle or trikonasana as you take a breath in, lifting through the right arm. And your choice would be to not do that and just roll the shoulder back and maybe place your hand into your lower back. Releasing this as you bend into your left knee, take a deep breath in, open your toes out, reach your arms up, and then come into a goddess stance with Pala Mudra right down in front of your lower abdomen, opening your knees out, finding a grounded stance. While we're inhaling, reach the arms out and up again, heel and toe your feet together and return to the mudra. You might want to briefly close the eyes and find a restful position to hold. Awareness of your whole being, including physical sensations, thoughts, feelings. Then release the mudra. Let your knees soften. Tuck the chin in gently and start rolling down into a standing forward bend. Let yourself then lower down to sit. As we've had plenty of stretches in our legs, let's just come into an easy pose. If easy pose is not accessible for you, you can sit in any other form that's comfortable. You can also use your support underneath to sit nice and tall. So you've got one leg in front of the other, and you might take a brief note of which one that is. Bringing your hands back into our mudra for today. You can, if you like, close the eyes again. We keep cultivating this energy of deeper trust, of letting go, accepting what there is. And while you're taking a breath in, let's separate the arms and reach them out. Turn towards the leg that is in front for a twist, and you can place your hands down onto the knees against the outside of the leg, behind you, wherever you can reach. Keeping yourself long and tall as you come into this twist. If you would like an extension for your neck, you could on top now tuck your back ear toward the back shoulder. Just allowing some length coming through the side of the neck while you're holding your twist. Let's lift the head again. Take a breath in. As you center yourself, arms might come out, maybe changing cross of legs and returning back into Pala Mudra, allowing yourself to center again. Whatever you might have experienced or seen when you were turning to the one side, let's repeat that without any expectations of outcome. As you take a breath in, open the arms. And as you're breathing out, twisting again. One hand might go to the outside of the knee, the thigh. One hand might go behind. And just twisting and turning, keeping your spine long. And if you would like to lengthen the neck on this side, again, it's the back ear that drops toward the back shoulder. As you center your head again, bring the body forward. Let your hands just land lightly behind and maybe removing the block from underneath. Keep the block closed though. I would ask you to come into an inversion and to practice, if you have a wall, legs up the wall pose. I would love this inversion to last for a little bit longer, so we're not getting attached to how we are grounding ourselves. We can do so upside down as well. If you don't have a wall near you that's free and in reach, don't worry, you can practice this on your mat as well. If you stay on your mat, you pop a block underneath the sacrum and lift the feet up, and hopefully that's relaxed enough so the legs are naturally falling in towards you. If you do have the wall, sit with the side of the hip near the wall, roll yourself down onto your back, and then bring your feet up the wall. If you still want to elevate your hips, you might press the feet into the wall, pop the block underneath, and from there, let the legs extend. Now, if you're all the way up here and you could use a bolster too, might be more comfortable. If it's a bolster, I usually have that in between sacrum and lower back. Arms might open out towards the side, and just let the shoulders be relaxed and soft. You might want to close your eyes, and you could have either your socks back on, of course, or like a tent, a blanket over the feet and just hanging down over you, keeping you warm, cozy, and with that protected from the cold. So as you find your way into your inversion, we'll stay there for a little while. If you get a sense that it would be better for you to remove yourself from it at any time, can you do so? If your legs are up the wall, you would just let your knees drop into the chest and roll yourself over to one side and then push yourself into Shavasana instead. And the same for everyone really applies. I would love to complete the class in this inversion, but if you feel that's not appropriate for you, Shavasana is your other option to come into. And don't feel you have to hold this a certain length of time. There's no rule to it other than that of comfort. As you allow it to come into this stillness, the breath becoming more soft. Make sure that the breath doesn't get stuck on its way and is still, even though gently, just moving your belly up and down. Aware of the breath moving your tummy. Maybe instilling a sense of comfort and ease. Maybe looking into your inner sanctuary, a place in which you feel safe, supported. You can even visualize this space. Taking a little bit of time resting in this inner sanctuary. Just following the rhythmic rise and fall of your abdominal breath. Allowing your body to be relaxed. Inviting now every part of your body into this inner sanctuary. Begin by inviting your legs and feet into the sanctuary of tranquility. With this invitation, allow a few breaths to relax these parts of the body completely. Now welcome your pelvis, abdomen and lower back into your sanctuary. Taking time to sense these areas, gently expanding and relaxing in synchrony with your soft rhythmic breathing. For the next few breaths, allow your chest and upper back to be bathed in absolute tranquility. Naturally experiencing greater lightness and ease throughout these areas of your body. Now invite your shoulders, arms, hands and fingers into your sanctuary, allowing them to relax completely. Your neck and head now enter and rest within your sanctuary of tranquility, allowing your eyes, ears, mouth, and jaw to soften and relax completely. Now allow your entire being to rest within your inner sanctuary, taking several breaths to experience that absolute tranquility. While you stay restful, you might in your mind repeat after me. Resting within my inner sanctuary, I experience absolute tranquility. Depending on what position you're in, you might want to bend your knees into your chest if your legs are up the wall. If you're lying in Shavasana, you might just simply move a little. If your knees are now in your chest, let's roll over onto your side. And those coming from Shavasana might want to do the same, resting in a fetal position by the side. From there, coming up into sitting, you could support yourself again in your seat. And placing once more your hands into Pala Mudra, left hand underneath, right hand on top, both in that bowl shape, shoulders relaxed. knowing that you can return to your inner sanctuary, or even more simply to this mudra if it feels useful at any time. Let's take the precious energy that we have sitting between our hands and bring the hands to face each other in front of the chest, capturing this energy within the palms of your hands. The thumbs might lightly touch the sternum, and you could choose to lightly bow the head towards the energy, towards your heart. From our inner place of trust and tranquility, we're extending to each other. Namaste.